everyone, welcome to Cancer Healing Journey Talks. Myself Sonali Modi from Community Outreach Team of Zenonio and Love Heals Cancer. Cancer Healing Journey story helps cancer survivors and caregivers to share their journey with vast number of other caregivers and survivors who have been traveling through this journey. It also motivates and inspires them for their faster recovery. So firstly, I would like to introduce you to today's speaker, Mr. Andy Storch. He is a cancer survivor. I'm happy that you're here with us today to share your story. So over to you, Andy. Please start with your introduction.
Well, hello, Sonali. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. And I hope that we can provide some inspiration for those out there who are dealing with cancer in all different ways. So I am by profession, a consultant, author, speaker, coach living in the United States. I work with a lot of big companies to help them help their employees take ownership of their careers. And I have a book called Own Your Career, Own Your Life. And on the personal side, I am 41 years old. I'm married. I have 2 kids. And I went through testicular cancer earlier this year, early in 2021, and feeling pretty good now.
Okay. So at what stage was it got diagnosed?
So I believe the stage was 2C. I originally found a lump on my left testicle and had my testicle removed. And then further scans showed the cancer had spread to my stomach and my neck, and I had enlarged lymph nodes in my stomach, and they were bulging out of my neck so big that you could see them across the room. But of course, being a typical man, I kind of ignored them and thought, oh, this is not a big deal, until the pain got so bad. And we realized that, oh, that's cancer that has spread all the way to your neck. So I think it was 2C, stage 2C. I'm not quite sure, but it was pretty serious.
Okay. So what were the symptoms and how it got diagnosed?
So I first started incurring symptoms in October of 2020. So a year ago. I started experiencing a lot of abdominal pain and discomfort in my stomach, my abdomen region. And it started getting worse and worse. And I kind of put it off for about 3 weeks, and then finally went in to see a doctor, and they did some scans and said that, it's possible this could be cancer related. We don't really know yet. You should go see this oncologist. And then that's when I, started looking at things. My wife started researching and realized I had the lump on my testicle that I had been ignoring pretty much, and then went to see a urologist who looked at it and then said quickly, this is probably testicular cancer. You need to have this removed. And I found out later I was having so much pain in my stomach, and this continued for many weeks. A lot of pain, constipation, discomfort because of the enlarged lymph nodes in my stomach area that were pushing on my organs. And I later had pancreatitis, which was extremely painful. I don't recommend it to anyone, but after a diagnosis and some hydration, funny enough, was the main resolution for that. Was I had been dehydrated, was to get more fluids in my system. I felt better after that.
Yeah. So what was your first reaction when you got to know that you're diagnosed with cancer, and how your family took this news?
Well, my reaction, and to give you some background, I have been very much into stoicism and mindfulness, and believing that I can kind of handle any challenge that comes my way. And I try not to complain or ever be a victim about things. And so my first reaction was, this is really annoying, right? I have a lot of things going on in my life right now. I was actually just about to publish my first book, the book I mentioned earlier. My wife was going for training for a coaching program that she was in. I was going to be traveling for a few weeks, and we had all this stuff going on. This is really annoying that I have to deal with this, or I get to deal with this right now. And I talked to my urologist, and he assured me that this was not, testicular cancer, to be fair. And I'm sure you speak with people who experience cancer that are much more serious. I mean, it is very serious, and it had grown. But testicular cancer, I think, has like a 98% survival or success rate, 97%. And that's what my urologist told me, that, hey, this is very treatable. It's going to be a tough road. And it was. So I knew I was never worried that I wasn't going to make it for any reason. I was very determined to make it through this and do it the best way possible and completely own the situation. But it obviously it was annoying, it was inconvenient. I think my wife had um, the same mindset. I don't think she was worried I wasn't going to make it, but she knew that it was going to be inconvenient for us. It was going to be tough. And I'm grateful that she was around to help take care of me. Now, you expand further to my parents and my in-laws and greater family. Obviously, they're very worried and they're not as connected to it. So they were extremely worried about me checking in all the time to make sure I was doing the right things, following the doctor's orders, which I wasn't always doing to cure the cancer. But we were always determined and knew that we were going to make it through.
So what treatment you underwent?
So I am very big on natural therapies. I'm a bit of a naturalist, if you will. And as soon as I found out that I probably have cancer, I started doing a lot of research, reading books and doing as much research as I can on cancer and nutrition. And is there a natural way to potentially fight this cancer? I changed my diet. I eliminated some bad things like alcohol and caffeine and mostly sugar and other stuff, and started doing whatever I could. Invested in some alternative therapies to heal my gut biome and do what I could to heal this. Ultimately, after a couple months, in January of this year, I was in so much pain that we finally decided to take the doctor's recommendation and start chemotherapy. So our oncologist, my oncologist, who is wonderful, by the way, of course, recommended chemotherapy right away, said this is the way we cure it. And I resisted that. I ended up doing chemotherapy, 2 cycles, spread out a little longer than they would have recommended because I took my time getting through it, but over about, I'd say, close to 3 months, January, February, March. And each cycle was supposed to be 3 weeks. It probably ended up being 5 weeks each or something like that. And it was certainly an awful experience, but it did the job to kill the cancer cells. Along the way, I was also doing a lot of other things. I was determined not to just rely on doctors. I wanted to take matters into my own hands. So as I mentioned, changing my diet to a plant-based diet, taking a lot of supplements that are known to fight or cure cancer, like turmeric and ginger, using high-dose intravenous vitamin C, which research has showed can help fight cancer and also help with the effects of chemo. I was big on other things like meditation, trying to stay as active as possible. And after the 2 cycles of chemo, the last scan I got in April showed the cancer was mostly gone and was probably on its way out.
Okay, so how did you manage your emotional well-being?
So this is a big one for a lot of people, and there are a few things that I recommend and that I recommend for others in terms of managing your emotional well-being, because it is first and foremost, it's a challenging situation. Like, it's hard to go through cancer, and especially the treatment, chemotherapy, radiation. This stuff can be harsh. And then there's the psychological challenge of the fear, right? That, what if you don't make it through? As I mentioned, I didn't suffer from too much of that, but I know a lot of people will have fear and anxiety, and rightly so. The cancer, the C word, is very scary. So how I managed it and how I recommend others, number one was gratitude. So every single day I would write down my gratitude for the things that were wonderful in my life, because no matter how hard things are, we always have things that we can be grateful for, right? Your family, your friends, having a roof over your head, food on the table, the life you've had, the weather outside, can always find things to be grateful for. Number two was meditation and mindfulness. The 2 things that I did every single day, no matter how hard the day was number one, I would meditate for at least 10 minutes. And number 2, I would take out a journal and write down my gratitude. And I've been big on meditation for several years now. I think it really helped ground me through this process and just to keep that going and clear my mind every day. The third thing that I would say is talking with friends and family. Don't try to do this alone, right? And when people reach out and ask if they can help you or if you want to talk, the kind of the tendency, the instinct, our reaction for most people is like, no, I can handle this. I'm fine. I don't want to bring you into this. Let me do this on my own. But you really shouldn't. You really do need to talk with other people. You need to have that help. As I said, I'm very lucky that my wife was here to help take care of me and I could talk to her about it every day. My mother lived nearby. I had a lot of friends who were calling me and texting me every day or every week. And then the fourth thing I would say is optimism, which is, you've got to believe that you're going to make it through this, right? You can't be a victim. You can't be negative and down on your situation because that has a big impact on your whole system and your ability to get through things. So you've got to be optimistic. You've got to make plans for the future, right? You can't say things like, well, I'd love to go on vacation next summer, but I don't know if I'll be here. That's scary for everybody. Instead, you start to make plans for the future and you're confident, you're optimistic that you're going to be around and you're going to make it through this. And then the fifth and final thing I'll say that really helped get me through this that I want to let other people know about is a reminder of the nature of impermanence, which is that most things that we experience don't last forever. So on the hardest days, when it was just, hard to get up out of bed and I just felt awful because of the chemotherapy mostly. I remembered a phrase that a friend shared with me, which is, this is how it is right now. And it reminded me of the nature of impermanence, which is like, this is awful, but this is how it is right now. And it's probably going to get better. And, sure enough, it did, right? I had those days in January, February, March, earlier this year, where I felt absolutely awful. And it was like, I don't know how I'm going to get through today. But I remembered like, well, this is how it is right now. It's not always going to be this way. And here I am in October talking with you, feeling great, full of energy, nearly back to 100%. My hair is all back and, kind of almost back to life as usual, as normal. And I'm so grateful for that. And it's kind of proof, reminder that like, hey, these things often don't last forever. And when we keep that in mind, it helps us get through those really tough times.
Yes. So how was the experience with the doctors and other medical staff?
Well, based on my research going in, I was expecting, and I think everybody's experience is different, but my experience and my expectation of the medical community here in the United States is that, first of all, very advanced, right? But also closed off, I think, to natural and holistic type solutions. And the medical community seems to not be entirely open-minded in general. However, my oncologist was wonderful. She, was very traditional in terms of the type of treatment that she runs and recommends. However, she was open to answering my questions and having a conversation about just about anything that I wanted to try. And I would bring things to her based on my research that she had never heard of or didn't know about, or maybe she had heard of it, but she couldn't do it at her office, but she would support me in doing it. For instance, the high dose intravenous vitamin C, which, by the way, if you have cancer, if you're going through chemotherapy, I highly recommend looking into this. Chances are your doctor won't do it or won't support it, but you can find a drip clinic. For me, it was a nurse who opened a clinic locally that would do, and I would get 100,000 milligrams of vitamin C once a week. It took about 3-4 hours sitting there with the IV in my arm, but I really do believe that helped. And my oncologist was supportive of that. She said, that's fine if you want to go do that. Other things, she hadn't necessarily heard of, but she was open to those things. She gave me her number. I could text her if I needed to, which most doctors wouldn't do. So my oncologist, Dr. Kata, she was wonderful to work with.
Yeah. So how you felt when you first heard that you're cancer-free?
Well, the funny thing is I haven't actually gotten that confirmation yet. So
Okay.
as I was sitting here singing my oncologist praises, the funny thing is I had my last scan in April and they recommended, they were showing a little bit of cancer left in my stomach and that it was probably on its way out, but they recommended one more cycle of chemotherapy. And I asked a lot of questions and then we took a weekend to think about it and weighed the pros and cons. And ultimately I decided to decline that last cycle of chemo, to turn it down, because I believe chemotherapy has a role. It does a job. It did something for me, but it's also highly toxic. And I didn't want to put more of it in my body if I didn't need to. And so I decided to turn that down. And my oncologist, again, being very supportive, said, that's fine. We just need to get another scan in like 6 or 8 weeks. to confirm that the cancer's gone. Well, now it's been 6 months and we still haven't gotten that scan. I feel great. I am working on getting that scheduled. I am confident that I'm cancer-free at this point, but I don't have the official, scan or results to show that I am. So I wish I could tell you more. And some people listening are probably like freaking out, like, how could you live your life without this? And yeah, my family asks me about it all the time. I will get it done, but at the same time, I'm still doing things daily and weekly to take care of myself that I think will help me keep this at bay. For instance, I'm still eating a plant-based diet. I do juicing pretty regularly. I had some great juice this morning: fresh carrots, celery, beets, apples, that sort of thing. I take a lot of supplements every day, and I'm still doing a lot of things that I think will help me remain healthy and cancer-free. But I will go get that scan soon.
Yeah. So, there are times when you feel that it's too much to handle, but you still don't give up. So what was the one thing that motivated you and kept you going on such days?
Oh, well, for me, that's that's pretty easy. I mean, I'd say two things. Number one, as I mentioned, I have a wife and two kids. So it's easy, right? If for some reason I don't want to live for myself, I know I need to live for them. Like, I'm going to be around for them, and I'm going to show them, especially show my kids, the way to live, the way to approach things, the way to take ownership of things and take responsibility and really take care of my health. And so as to be a model for them. The second thing is that I know I have an opportunity to make an impact on the world and inspire more people. And so not only do I want to live for that, but I also shared a lot of my journey on social media along the way. I think that's how you found me, because I wanted to show other people how I got through this and what is possible, and inspire other people to get through their challenges, and possibly look at natural options when they're going through tough medical situations, that kind of thing. And so I would keep going, and I would do the things that I knew I should do. And you have those days where you're like, well, I know I need to do XYZ, but I'm feeling lazy, I'm tired, I'm in pain, I don't want to do it. I would often do those things, like go for a walk or something, so that I could tell other people, like, this is what I'm doing, and show how I'm pushing through this. So I think that accountability really helped me, and it motivates me to be able to, of course, like, be here for my family, but also have an opportunity to inspire others as well.
Yeah. So do you think that cancer has changed you in a positive way?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, cancer gave me a couple things. So in my book, I talk about taking an ownership mindset and the power of believing that everything in life happens for you and not to you. And when you really flip to this type of belief, I think it can have a profound impact on your life. So that's moving from everything in life happens to you, you're a victim, to everything in life happens for you, it's an opportunity. And someone asked me after reading my book, do you believe that cancer happened for you? Because that's pretty tough. And I said, yes, I absolutely do believe cancer happened for me. And here's why. Number one, it gave me more empathy for people going through tough health situations, because I had always been pretty healthy my whole life. I hadn't really had any tough roads. So it gave me more empathy. And number two, it allowed me to share more, share my story and share like this with more people, and hopefully inspire people to do the work and shift their mindset and make it through cancer or whatever big challenge they're going through. And it has motivated me to work harder to help more people who are going through challenging situations. And it's also, the usual stuff too, gave me, more perspective on life and more gratitude for life and what I have, and appreciation for my family and my friends. And I try to remember that on a regular basis. So lots of positive things.
Yes. So what life lessons you got from your cancer journey?
Life lessons. Well, here's a couple lessons. You can call them life lessons or any lessons. Number one, I mentioned this already. I don't want to I don't want people to think that I'm the anti-doctor or medical community, but number one is you cannot just rely on your doctors when you have a cancer diagnosis or something else serious like that. you've got to take a holistic view. You've got to do your own research, and you've got to take ownership of the situation. Do not be a victim, figure out everything that's going on and decide what is the best course of action for you. And it might be aligned with what the doctor is recommending, and it might not. And that's okay, because it's your life, it's your body, and you get to live with that. Just another example, by the way, my wife also had cancer a year before. She had thyroid cancer, and she had her thyroid removed. And her surgeon doctors were recommending that she do radiation just to prevent anything in the future. But one of the side effects of radiation is more cancer. It's kind of crazy. So we thought about it. She did a lot of research and thought about a ton of research and decided to turn it down. And it's been more than a year. It's been 2 years, and she's completely fine. I think she made the right decision. And so I tell that story because I want to inspire people to do your own research and take ownership of the situation, and do what you need to do for your body. That's a big lesson that was really, I kind of thought that before, but really reinforced for me. Another lesson is that you do have the power, no matter who you are and what you're going through, to help and inspire other people. And so if you're willing to share your journey with some people, you can absolutely help them, because a lot of people are going through similar things. And the third thing is to lean into friends and family and take help when it's offered to you. I for a long time, had a hard time accepting help. It's kind of that like, oh, I'm strong, I can do things on my own. If people offered me help, I'd say no. But I was determined to change that during this cancer journey, and lean into it when people offered me help, to say yes instead of saying no. And so I started saying yes more often. And a lot of people sent me things and called me and offered all kinds of different help. And I accepted all of it. And it was wonderful. And I think, the funny thing is, many of us decline when people offer help, because we think that we're somehow making things easier for them. But the reality is, we love helping other people. And when we let people help us, we're giving them a gift as well. And so I accepted help from a lot of people, and I'm determined to keep doing that in the future. And of course, to pay it forward and help other people who are going through challenging situations in the future.
Yes. So have you ever asked yourself this question, why me? And if yes, then how you deal with this thought?
Have I ever asked myself that question? I've asked myself that question 1,000 times. Of course, why me? I think the important thing when you do ask that question, though, is a lot of people ask, there's kind of two ways to ask that question. A lot of people ask the question, why me? It's like again, going back to the victim versus ownership mentality. It's like, I can't believe I did everything right. Like, why did I get screwed? And of course, I had that question, right? Like I said, I've been long into health and fitness. I've been in the gym 5 days a week for 20 years. Like I've been, working out, and then I look around and I see people who are just eating really unhealthy and are obese. And I'm like, why do I have cancer? Why don't they have cancer? Right. So the question, of course, is like, why did this happen to me? Why didn't it happen to somebody else? What are the odds? But then I think you have to get really curious and ask the question for real. Why did this happen? Why me? Is there something that I was doing that could have caused this cancer? And quite frankly, a lot of cancer is caused. There are some genetics involved, but a lot of cancer, I've done plenty of research on this. A lot of cancer is due to poor nutrition, right? As well as environmental factors. Stress can cause cancer. Bad nutrition, of course, can cause cancer. We know about smoking and carcinogens and, toxic environments. But, you got to be honest and take a real look at your diet and your lifestyle. And have you been doing things that could have caused this cancer? And so I really did that. And then the last way to ask the question, another way that I framed it for myself, is why me, in terms of, why did I get this opportunity, right? Turning a challenge into an opportunity. Well, why me? Well, maybe I got, if you believe in a higher power, whether it's God or the universe, and you kind of force yourself to sit down and say, okay, someone gave me this as a gift, right? And it doesn't seem like a gift. It seems pretty hard, right? It's easy for me to say now, now that I'm out of it, right? But someone gave me this as a gift. What do I do with it? Why did they give this to me, right? Why did God or the universe give me this challenge and this opportunity? And maybe it's so that I can show what I can get through, and I can help and inspire other people. And that's the way I chose to see it.
Yes. So what would be a message to other cancer caregivers and survivors?
So message to other, first of all, message to people going through cancer is you can get through this. Do your research, take a holistic view. Please, like, take a look at changing your diet and taking supplements and doing other things to help you fight the cancer. Don't just rely on doctors. To caregivers, jump right in, do the research, help your people get through it, your family, give them the support they need. Sometimes people just need to talk. Make sure they're getting nutrients, healthy nutrients in their body, vegetables and fruits and water, juice and things that people need, and keep offering support, keep reaching out, even if they say that they don't want anything, you keep supporting them. To survivors, first of all, take care of going back to the health, take care of your body, because cancer comes back, right? And so maybe you got it the first time because you've been living an unhealthy lifestyle. And now if you've made it through, you have an opportunity to make a shift. And then second of all, you have the opportunity to help others, right? To help and inspire others. So, I love what you're doing, Sonali, and I think we all have a chance to jump in when you hear that someone else has cancer. And we're going to hear it all the time. People in our network, right? I mean, 1 in 3 people, I think, in our lifetime, maybe even 1 in 2, if things get worse, are going to end up with some type of cancer diagnosis. So when you hear about people in your network having cancer, to reach out and say, you know what, I went through it. If you ever want to talk, I'm happy to share my journey, the mistakes I made, the things I'm glad I did, and just be an ear for you, because we are a community and we do have the power and the opportunity to help each other.
Yes. So, it is said that art or any creative thing works as healing. So have you tried any such thing during your cancer journey?
Oh, as far as like art or doing creative type stuff?
Yeah.
I didn't really. I do agree, and I believe that stuff can be very healing. I think there's even research behind that as well. But that just wasn't my style. For me, it was more about social media, engaging with others, talking with others, staying focused on doing the work I can to run my business, and just connecting with people and doing things with my family, with my kids as well.
Yes. So how did you overcome your overcome your fears of treatment or side effects?
That's, you know what, that's a great question, because as I mentioned, right, I didn't want to do the chemo. I believe it's toxic, and I didn't want to put it in my body if I didn't have to, but ultimately we made the decision. It was my wife, Courtney, who said something very wise that helped us get through it. And she basically said that no matter which thing we choose, to go without it or to go with it, we've got to go all in on that choice and believe that is the right choice. And that is what is going to help us. So when we made the decision to go in and do chemotherapy, we followed her advice and said, okay, I didn't want to do this, but now I'm choosing to go in and do chemo. So I'm going all in on this, and I'm going to do it. And I'm going to believe that it is working in my body. So almost imagine it going into my body and fighting the cancer cells and taking care of them. I think it's important, once you make a decision, to not sit there and go, oh, I wish I didn't have to do this. I mean, of course, I wish I didn't have to do it, but it's better to say, okay, I made the right decision. I'm embracing this. This is what I need to do. This is what's helping me fight the cancer right now, and I'm going to make the most of it.
Yes. So when did you think that I can beat this disease, or was this belief always there with you?
Yeah, that was always there with me. I mean, I knew no matter what, I was going to beat it. I just, what was it going to take, right? Could I just do it by eating broccoli, or do I have to do chemotherapy? I ended up doing both. And I always knew that I would get through it. I just was a matter of like, how hard is it going to be, and how long is it going to take?
Yes. So did you join any support group? And what do you think are the importance of such support groups?
So I did not join any specific support groups, and that's mostly because I'm already a member of many communities, and I have a very large network. I'm very lucky. I've been building a network of friends for many years, and I felt like I had all the support that I needed. That said, I know I'm very lucky to be in the situation I'm in. And I know there are people that maybe don't have as many friends or don't have as much support. And I absolutely think you should join a support group, some type of community of people that can come together to support each other. and maybe, you know, of people who are going through similar things. You can check in with each other and like, how are you feeling? Because quite frankly, you know, people would ask me like, how are you feeling? How are you doing? And I just, for going through chemotherapy, like I couldn't even describe it. Like the terrible feeling is, it's not similar to anything else I've experienced in my life, you know, and I've had plenty of pain. I've broken bones and, you know, done all kinds of stuff. It's like indescribable. And like, unless you've been through it, like you just don't understand it. And so it is nice to have people who have also been through similar things or going through similar things that you can check in with and say, you know, how are you feeling? What was it like for you? And so I would talk to some people sometimes who had also been through cancer. And it's interesting how we all had very different experiences too. Like it's personal and it's different for everybody. But I think we as humans are social creatures. We need to connect with other people. We need to go through things with people. So if you don't have a strong network already, you need to go join some type of community and talk to people. Absolutely.
Yes. So what do you think are the stigmas attached to cancer and the importance of awareness for it?
Well, there's a couple things. One, cancer is such a wide-ranging thing that can mean so many different things. There's a stipulation attached to cancer that as soon as you hear cancer, that means death or possible death or like very serious, right? There are some cancers that are not that serious. We all have a tiny bit of cancer in our body all the time that may or may not grow, right? And what I learned from my own reading and research is that cancer is kind of part of us, right? And so it's almost like people talk about fighting cancer and being a warrior and killing cancer. It's really more about healing our bodies, right? Giving our bodies what it needs to heal, to eliminate the bad stuff and grow more of the good stuff. And lots of people are going to go through these things. So that's one of the stipulations. Another one I mentioned earlier, I don't want to like bang the drum too much on this, but that, you know, doctors are always right. They know how to fight everything, how to beat everything. We got to listen to our doctors. And, you know, my parents would be like, you got to listen to your doctor, do what they say. I don't think that's true. I don't think the doctors truly know exactly how to beat this stuff. Otherwise, the cure rate of cancer would be much higher than it is, but it hasn't changed in 40 years, really, the success rate of fighting cancer. And so that means that, you know, the medical community, certainly there are many great advancements, and I am so grateful for the treatment that was available to me. But I think we need to look at other things. And I think our body is made to heal itself when we give it the right fuel and the right nutrients. And so you need to look at least at, you know, changing your diet and getting get a lot of healthy stuff in your body to help your body fight these things. Because your body is made to do this stuff almost on its own when it's given the right tools and the right fuel and the right weapons, whatever you want to call it. But sometimes we do need extra help from pharmaceuticals in the medical community. But just know that it's okay to ask questions and take ownership of your own health. And that's what I'm a big advocate of.
Yes. So at Zenonco.io, we help cancer patients like throughout the journey from diagnosis to forever. So what do you think about our work?
I think it's great. I think that, you know, again, like going back to my message, right, is that like, you know, people go in to see a doctor, an oncologist, they tell them you need to do this and they just go do it. To have a business, a community, people you can go to that can help like shepherd you, walk you through the process and share options with you and create a community and all the things you can do. I think that's really beneficial. So I don't know everything about what you guys are doing, right? But I think we need more options out there. And, you know, businesses that are supporting this beyond, you know, I think most of the healthcare industry is run by pharmaceutical companies, and we need companies that are not connected to that and not like, you know, don't have all their profits tied to you doing the treatment that the doctors recommend when there could be other options.
So if you have to sum up your journey in one sentence, then what would that be?
It was a challenging journey, but I'm grateful for the experience. And I want to use that to be able to inspire other people to truly take ownership of their health and shift their mindset and do the right things to be able to make it through, because we can get through these things by doing the right things and taking the right approach. And you can make it through by doing the right things and taking the right approach. And I believe in you. I believe in everybody. And I just want to help and support.
Yeah. So thank you so much for your valuable time, Andy. I hope this session really motivates people out there who have traveled or been traveling through this journey. So it was lovely having you here today with us on this session. And once again, thank you so much.